Hi, I'm Mike Hayes. Listen to me closely today. Your brain is hardwired to freeze when it gets scared. It's science. And right now, AI is terrifying people. It's like trying to build a plane while flying. That stops today. We are breaking down a strategy called Reasonology. It is a cheat code to turn panic into power. It's taking you from confused boomer to genius AI bloomer in 3 simple steps. Stop freezing, start listening. Let's dive in.
So let's dive into a really fascinating strategy today. It's a 3-part brand architecture for explaining AI to every generation.
Right. And what's interesting here is that it's all built on a human-first idea. They call it Reasonology.
Reasonology.
Yeah. The mission isn't just to talk about AI. It's to give you a clear, trustworthy path through all of the noise. Basically, to fight the fear with facts.
Okay, so that sets the stage. We've got 3 layers: senior AI podcast listening, then the AI safe, and finally AI boomer new stock radio.
Exactly.
So the big question for you is, why do it this way? Why a layered approach and not just, one single name for everything?
It all starts with that first name, Senior AI Podcast Listening. The source materials is really clear that this is the safer, more inclusive brand to lead with.
Because it's about an age stake.
Precisely. It's meant to cover everyone from the silent generation right up through older Gen X. It's for this whole emerging group of what they call AI bloomers.
Okay, but I have to ask the obvious question here. If you call it senior AI, aren't you immediately risking, pushing away the younger, tech-savvy crowd?
That's the really clever part of the strategy. Senior AI is positioned to cover the absolute fundamentals: education, safety, the basic context.
And safety universal.
Safety resonates with everyone, so younger listeners don't feel excluded.
Yes.
They see it as the place their parents or grandparents can go for vetted information. It also lines up perfectly with partners like libraries and universities.
Right, who need that sort of calm, voices of reason tone.
Mm-hmm.
So we've got the safe front door. But how do you keep the content inside from feeling like, a dry textbook? You need some personality.
And that's where the second layer comes in. AI boomer new stock radio. This is where you get the personality, the commentary, the sense-making.
So it's someone's actual journey.
It's the story of a baby boomer learning about this stuff out loud, becoming an AI bloomer right in front of you. It's that relatable moment,
But the word boomer, that can be a bit polarizing, can't it? If that were the main brand, it could definitely turn some people off.
Oh, absolutely. And that's why it's a segment, a flavor. It signals commentary. It has that kind of talk radio energy, but it's not the umbrella.
So the layering is key. You can say something like, "Welcome to Senior AI Podcast Listening, and now for our AI Boomer New Stock Radio segment."
Exactly. The show is from a baby boomer, offering that context, but it's for everyone. It's not claiming to be the final authority.
And that leads us to the third piece, the thing that ties it all together, the AI safe.
Yes, the multimedia vault. This is so crucial because, we don't just learn by listening.
We need to see it.
We need to see it. The AI safe is where you find the text explainers, the graphics, the videos. If you're talking about something complex like deepfakes, you need to show people what to look for. Audio alone isn't enough.
Okay, so the whole thing is a story arc. Senior AI is the welcoming doorway.
Mm-hmm.
AI Boomer New Stock is the perspective you get inside. And the outcome is becoming an informed AI bloomer with all the resources you need in the AI safe. It really feels like it builds that documentary level trust.
At the end of the day, it's about stewardship of knowledge, not just marketing.
Which all comes down to that one really powerful mission statement they use. Explainers in, fear out.
Learning in, risk out.
Simple as that.
The whole promise is just to keep the AI safe. And I guess the final thought for you to consider is, think about how an architecture like this, one that's based on modeling learning out loud, becomes deeply reassuring, not just for one generation, but for all of them. That honesty might be the most important part of the whole strategy.
Okay, let's unpack this.
Let's do it.
This deep dive is, it's truly unique. We're not analyzing a finished product today.
No, not at all.
We're actually dissecting the very blueprint, the architectural plans for how trust is engineered around one of the most complex and, let's be honest, fear-inducing topics of our time: artificial intelligence.
It's a fascinating window into strategic communication. Our source material today isn't some report on a new algorithm or a technological breakthrough.
Yeah.
It's the architectural plan for a major AI educational initiative, and it's explicitly built on, well, human psychology. We're looking at a system that's designed to deliberately counteract the default human response to AI.
Which for so many people is just paralysis.
Exactly. For many, especially older generations, it's paralysis driven by jargon and, frankly, by fear.
Absolutely. And for you, the listener, this is really an inside look. You're getting a peek at the strategic decisions that go into building intergenerational credibility. It's all about building a teaching brand that feels authoritative, but without being intimidating. That's the tightrope they're walking.
It is. And the mission statement that guides this entire architectural plan is, it's just so direct. It's aggressively optimistic about moving past all the cultural noise that surrounds AI.
I love how you put that, aggressively optimistic.
Because it is. That mission is the ideological bedrock of the whole operation. It's distilled into a sequence of strategic shifts, and they're all aimed at managing anxiety and promoting proactive engagement.
So it's not just about education, it's about emotional management.
That's the first step. They frame it as two critical transitions. First, moving people from fear out to explainers in.
Okay.
And then, just as important, from risk out to learning in.
Yeah.
The order there is deliberate.
I really appreciate that phrasing because it recognizes that the emotional barrier is the first one you have to solve. You can't focus on the risk on the logical side of it until you've already established a clear pathway to learning. You can't. The fear just shuts down the part of the brain that's open to new information.
And this entire system, this whole architecture, it all culminates in one ultimate unifying promise. This is the North Star for the entire project. Keep the AI safe.
And that line, keep the AI safe, is so carefully chosen. It's not about technological hype. It's not the future is AI or something like that.
No, it's the opposite.
It's deliberately framed as a promise of stewardship. It says to the audience, we are the responsible guides here. We will manage this process with caution.
Stewardship. That's the crucial emotional antidote, isn't it? It's the antidote to the anxiety and the perceived chaos of rapid technological change.
Especially for demographics that feel inherently disenfranchised by tech culture. They feel like this whole thing is happening to them, not for them. Stewardship changes that dynamic.
So we have this foundational mission, and then the architects design 3 connected layers to deliver on it. And the beauty of this blueprint, I think, is that they distill these layers down to a simple, repeatable, one-breath explanation. That's the goal.
Right. The ultimate goal being to eliminate any confusion from the very, very start.
And that one-breath line is the result of immense strategic focus. I mean, just think about how many different venues that simple explanation needs to work in.
Oh, yeah.
You're explaining the project to a potential university partner. You're pitching a foundation for a grant. You're summarizing the project on a landing page. Yeah. Or you're just using it in the show's intro.
It has to be instantly digestible and memorable.
Instantly.
And those 3 core layers, the ones introduced in that one breath, are first, senior AI podcast listening. That's the easy conversational entry point.
The front door.
Exactly. Second, the AI safe, which is the deep resource. This acts as the multimedia explainer vault.
Okay.
And third, AI Boomer New Stock Radio, which provides that vital personal journey component. It's where the host makes sense of AI out loud, through their own lived experience.
Got it. So a doorway, a vault, and a personal lens.
That's it.
And the sources stress that the overriding requirement for this entire architecture is absolute clarity.
No wiggle room.
Zero jargon, no unnecessary acronyms, and absolutely no confusion. Everything is engineered to be approachable. But before we get into the nuts and bolts of those layers, I think we really need to understand the fundamental belief system that underpins them.
The philosophy.
Yes.
Yeah.
How they engineered that initial foundation of trust.
All right, let's dedicate some serious time to that philosophy, because I agree, this is where the strategic genius is most visible. It's not just about what is being taught about AI, it's about how the project positions itself as a trustworthy guide in the first place.
And what's fascinating here is how the philosophy operates as a psychological sequence. We mentioned the core mantra: explainers in, fear out, learning in, risk out, keep the AI safe.
Right.
That specific order dictates the entire content strategy. You must first provide the explainer, the calm voice of reason, to push the fear out.
Only then.
Only then does it create the space that allows the learning to come in, which in turn neutralizes the perceived risk. It's a chain reaction.
This sounds, it's almost like behavioral science applied directly to communication strategy. You're literally solving the emotional problem before you even attempt to present the intellectual one.
That's a perfect way to describe it.
But I have to ask this. I have to play devil's advocate for a second. If the goal is absolute objective truth, why not just lead with the facts? Why not address the risks head on? Is this not slightly manipulative?
That is a very fair challenge. And I think the source would argue that it's a necessary prerequisite for education, not manipulation. They recognize that if a person, especially someone who's already skeptical of new technology, feels paralyzed by the fear of job loss or societal change or just personal irrelevance.
Which is a huge one.
A huge one. If they feel that, no amount of factor presentation is going to sink in. Their defenses are up. The information just bounces off.
So this positioning as stewardship, not hype, is the strategic response to that psychological paralysis.
Precisely. Hype just amplifies the anxiety for that audience. It makes them feel even more left behind. Stewardship, on the other hand, offers a steady hand. It says, we'll get through this together at your pace.
And this choice of language, stewardship, is what builds that trust across incredibly diverse demographic groups. They're not just talking to older adults here.
Not at all.
They are creating a message that appeals universally because, let's face it, everyone wants stability and safety around a technology this transformative.
Everyone.
Yeah.
And this guiding philosophy is formalized in the sources under a specific concept. They call it reasonology in practice.
Reasonology.
Yes. And the core definition, which we have to fully understand to get the rest of this, is that this initiative is not data first, but human first.
That distinction is absolutely vital. Can you walk us through the practical mechanism of that? How does reasonology fundamentally alter the structure of, say, an AI education course compared to a traditional university syllabus?
Certainly. Okay, so if you look at a traditional computer science or a technical AI course, it is inherently data first. You start with the technical specifications.
The guts of it.
Right. You're learning the algorithms. You're trying to understand neural networks. You're grasping the complex technical infrastructure. You might spend, 60% of your time just on how it works under the hood?
And the human impact comes later.
Much later.
Yeah.
The ethical implications, the human impacts.
Yeah.
They're often tacked on at the end, almost as an afterthought. Oh, and by the way, here are some things to consider.
So the traditional model just assumes the learner has the patience and, frankly, the background to master the technical infrastructure before they can even understand the practical application.
Exactly. Reasonology flips that entire model on its head. It starts with the human experience, the lived context. A reasonology curriculum might spend 60% of its time on the why and the what if.
Give me an example.
It begins by asking questions like, how will AI change your conversation with your doctor? What does a deepfake actually mean for your family's security? Or how can you use these tools right now to make your own life better and safer?
I see. So you establish the relevance first.
You establish the relevance, and only once that human context is established and the emotional barrier is lowered, then it introduces the necessary foundational knowledge about the technology itself.
It's grounded learning. It acknowledges that knowledge is most valuable when it's immediately relatable and applicable to the learner's current circumstances.
And that's precisely why the focus works for such a varied audience.
Okay, let's run through that audience segmentation because I think it really showcases the strategic reach of this reasonology concept.
Let's do it. So for seniors, the human-first approach ensures they feel respected. They are not being subjected to a technical barrage they feel they can't understand.
Yeah, we're not being tested.
No. They're being given practical context from the start. This reframes them from being passive technology consumers to being informed decision makers. It gives them agency.
And critically, this approach doesn't alienate the younger listeners either, does it? Even though the entry point might be framed for seniors, the foundational promise, keep the AI safe, is universally relevant.
It absolutely is. Younger generations, too, are struggling with the exact same existential questions of job security, data privacy, and ethical AI deployment. They want that stewardship just as much.
And what about for families? How does this resonate?
For families, the focus is immediately clear and motivating. Safety. This transcends any generational divide. It's not just some abstract educational project. It becomes a tool for intergenerational discussion about security and ethical technology use in the home.
It gives them a common language to talk about it.
A safe, common language. And finally, you have the institutional audience. The libraries, healthcare organizations, foundations, university and city partners. The source actually calls them Oxford-style audiences.
Oxford-style audiences. I like that. What do they hear when they read Reasonology and Human First?
They hear trust, they hear stability, they hear stewardship. Institutions are fundamentally driven by service and the reliable dissemination of knowledge.
A data-first approach probably sounds too much like a Silicon Valley pitch.
Exactly. It risks sounding like a tech company trying to sell them something. But a human-first, safety-first approach, that aligns perfectly with their core mission of community service and knowledge equity. It sounds like serious, dependable education, which is absolutely crucial for securing those long-term partnerships and, of course, the funding.
It's an incredibly elegant solution when you think about it. It manages fear, it provides intellectual grounding, and it satisfies institutional requirements, all by simply positioning the human experience ahead of the technical data.
And that groundwork is the necessary prerequisite for the entire three-layered architecture they built on top of it.
Okay, so now that the philosophical foundation of Reasonology is set explainers in, fear out, we can turn our attention to the three mechanisms designed to execute that vision. We've got the doorway, the vault, and the lens.
And they have to work as a synergistic system. That's key. They're not three separate pieces of content.
Right, they feed into each other.
The layering is really a response to how people consume information in the modern era. People need a low-commitment entry point. That's the doorway. Then they need a high-reliability deep dive resource, which is the vault.
Okay.
And finally, they need a relatable mechanism for integrating that knowledge into their lives, and that's the lens.
Let's start with layer one, the doorway. Senior AI podcast listening. Why audio? Why is that specifically chosen as the low-friction entry point for this critical audience? Why not, say, a series of introductory videos or short articles?
The choice of audio is, I think, strategic genius for this target demographic. Many seniors, and frankly, many AI-anxious people of all ages are looking for familiarity and non-confrontation.
And audio is the medium of calm.
It's the medium of calm. It's gentle. It can be consumed while you're doing other tasks, walking, driving, cooking, and it mirrors the intimacy of a phone call or a radio broadcast, something they're already comfortable with. It establishes that tone of calm explainers and trusted voices instantly.
That makes perfect sense. Video is often too fast, it's too visually demanding, and articles require active reading and sustained focus, which can feel like homework.
Right. But audio facilitates that voices of reason tone because it feels like a conversation you're eavesdropping on rather than a lecture you're being subjected to.
It creates a kind of parasocial relationship based on trust. The host becomes that reliable friend who demystifies this complex world for you every week.
And the sources really emphasize AI without fear, and audio is just the ideal delivery mechanism to transmit that feeling. It creates a warm welcome mat for all generations to step onto.
Okay, so once that trust is established and the listener has dipped their toe in the water with the podcast, they are then guided toward layer two. This is the serious educational component, the AI safe, the vault. This is where the deeper learning lives, the multimedia explainer library.
The vault is the commitment layer. It answers that next logical question. Okay, I've heard the conversation, I'm interested now, so where do I go to actually learn and retain this information?
And the key functional requirement of the AI Safety is that it is, and I'm quoting here, designed for how humans really learn.
Which means it has to be highly customizable across different learning styles. Not everyone learns the same way.
Exactly. The sources list 4 specific content types, and we need to understand why all 4 are indispensable for intergenerational comprehension of a topic like AI. We have text, audio, video, and graphics visual storytelling.
Let's break those down. Think about the needs of a diverse intergenerational audience. Text explainers are absolutely essential for searchable, referenceable, and easily printed material.
You can't underestimate the power of a physical printout.
Especially for the senior audience, a printed text summary that can be highlighted and physically shared with a spouse or a friend remains vital. Then you have audio explainers within the vault.
Which serve a different purpose than the podcast itself.
A very different purpose. While the podcast is conversational and exploratory, the vault audio is structured and repeatable. It's designed for revision. It's ideal for commuting or just for a quick refresher on a specific concept.
Okay, so that covers reading and listening. But then you have the visual elements, video and graphics, which solve totally different educational problems.
They absolutely do. Video explainers are essential for demonstrating complex processes. You can talk about how a deepfake is created all day.
But seeing it happen is something else entirely.
It is. Or seeing how a simple AI application works in real time on a screen. Watching a process happen is often the fastest way to demystify it. It removes the magic and shows the mechanics.
And then the fourth piece, graphics and visual storytelling. This might be the most crucial component for simplifying abstract concepts, right?
I think so. Things like network diagrams, flow charts, or simple timelines, these visuals transform dense, intimidating paragraphs of text into instantly graspable relationships and patterns. That's what aids long-term memory.
So it's basically a redundancy system for learning. You can read it, you can listen to it while you're walking the dog, you can see the process in action in a video, and you can get a simplified schematic view from a graphic.
And by offering all four, that multi-format approach drastically increases the chances of true comprehension and retention.
Which is critical for a topic like AI that is so complex and is constantly evolving.
And this whole effort, this focus on clarity and multi-format learning, is reinforced by the specific branding choice for the Vault, the AI Safe.
Right.
The AI Safe
Is instantly understood.
instantly understood, immediately reassuring, and it perfectly matches the unifying mission. Keep the AI safe. It creates zero mental friction.
That focus on zero friction seems to extend into the quality standards as well. The content DNA inside the AI Safe is described as mirroring Peabody-level documentary storytelling. We can't just gloss over that. What does that actually mean for the research and scriptwriting standards of the content?
It means the standard is set at the level of established journalistic excellence, not, say, casual YouTube production. It implies a commitment to nonpartisanship and to a narrative structure that's designed for emotional resonance and memorability.
So for the content creator, it mandates that the research process has to be deep.
Deep and balanced. And the presentation must be balanced. And the story must prioritize clarity and truth over speed or sensationalism. It's a commitment to quality.
And that DNA breaks down into those four critical actions for the listener. Hear it, see it, revisit it, and share it with family.
And that sequence defines the ultimate goal of the entire project. It's not just about consumption. It's about assimilation.
What do you mean by that?
Well, revisit it means the content is built for repeated engagement. It has to prove its value as a true reference library that you'd actually want to come back to.
And share it with family.
That's the final step.
Yeah.
It means the knowledge empowers intergenerational communication. It turns the learner into a confident explainer within their own family circle. The project is curating trust, not just publishing a high volume of content.
Okay, which brings us finally to layer 3, the lens. AI Boomer News Stock Radio. This is the personalization layer, the place where all that raw information from the vault gets processed through lived experience.
This layer is so essential because pure explanation, the stuff in the vault, can sometimes feel a little sterile.
A bit academic.
Exactly. People crave context. The Newstalk radio component is defined as the personal journey making sense of AI out loud. It is the commentary, the reflection, and the sense-making that takes complex information and discusses its immediate real-world implications.
So this is the layer that injects the personality and the energy.
It is, but the source makes a crucial strategic distinction here. This must be positioned as the flavor or a recurring segment, not as the primary umbrella brand.
Why is that so important?
Because you do not want the personal, sometimes opinion-driven energy of a newstalk format to overwhelm the foundational brand of safety and education. You have to keep them separate.
So the host can maintain that trusted, almost institutional credibility of senior AI while still allowing their personality to shine in a clearly marked off segment.
Precisely. And that transition, as it's laid out in the source, is key. Welcome to Senior AI Podcast Listening and today's AI Boomer News Talk radio segment. It draws a clear line for the listener.
You have an elegant system.
This clean three-part system doorway, the audio, Vault, the multimedia library, and Lens, the personal commentary, it ensures that the architecture is structurally sound, it's educationally comprehensive, and it maintains a consistent message of safety and reason across all the different points of engagement.
Okay, so let's delve into what I think is the most strategically challenging aspect of this whole blueprint, the deployment of generational labels.
This is tricky territory.
It really is. They're using senior, boomer, and then this unifying third term, AI bloomer. These are really high-stakes branding choices because they're all about identity and cultural resonance.
And this requires a highly nuanced approach. You can tell they thought about this a lot. They had to weigh the immediate marketing hook of a term against its long-term strategic credibility and, most importantly, its potential to actively alienate large portions of their target demographic.
Which is why Senior AI Podcast Listening was designated as the safer lead. That's the primary brand identity. So what does the term senior achieve that boomer risks undermining?
Senior achieves two absolutely critical things. inclusivity, and institutional resonance. By defining senior broadly as an age stage, it's immediately welcoming. It creates this big generational tent.
It's not specific.
Right. It includes the silent generation, it includes baby boomers, and critically, it includes the older portion of Gen X, who the source calls the emerging AI bloomers. This avoids the specificity that can cause so much friction.
So senior is fundamentally a unifying, respectful term, whereas boomer has, become a political or a cultural stereotype in many ways.
Precisely. And that institutional fit is paramount. When you're dealing with partners like libraries, foundations, and community centers, those Oxford-style audiences that value calm and measured discourse, senior AI signals respect, reliability, and non-confrontation.
It's the language of academia and public service.
It is. It makes it the perfect match for the voices of reason tone they wanted to establish from the very beginning.
Okay, now let's confront the complexity of that second label, boomer. The sources are very explicit about needing to leverage its power while carefully mitigating its significant peril. What are the specific upsides they identified? Why even use it?
The upsides are all about energy and familiarity. Boomer has an immediate high-energy familiarity, which is why it's specifically paired with new stock radio.
It signals a certain style.
It signals commentary, opinion, and a talk radio dynamism. It provides a personality hook that the more formal, more staid senior AI might lack. It's excellent for drawing initial attention.
But the cons, the perils, that's what necessitated this whole layered approach.
Yeah.
What specific cultural baggage or negative stereotypes did the strategy have to account for and mitigate?
Oh, the risk is substantial. The term boomer has become culturally weaponized,
Yeah.
It often implies a resistance to change, a sense of rigidity, or a general technological dismissal, which is the exact opposite of what this project is trying to achieve.
Right, and some people in that generation hate the label.
Some baby boomers actively reject the term. They view it as a dismissive stereotype. And furthermore, you have the rising wave of seniors Gen X who do not identify with that term at all.
So if they had led with AI boomer, they would have signaled that the content was exclusive, maybe even politically rigid.
And definitely not for the younger senior cohort. They would have been building an immediate wall between their educational content and vast segments of the exact audience they were trying to reach.
So the strategic loss would have been far greater than any gain in talk radio energy.
Far greater. Therefore, the layered solution is non-negotiable. The rule is simple, and it's effective. Use senior AI for the foundation, the education, and the safety. That's the core credibility.
And
Use AI boomer new stock strictly for the commentary, the personality, and the energy, but always make it subordinate to the primary brand. This preserves the trust signal while still capitalizing on the vitality of the personal perspective.
It's an intellectual division of labor, really. The senior AI brand builds the institutional trust, and the AI boomer new stock segment gets to engage with controversy and current events.
And this strategic balancing act leads us to the crucial bridge term that completes the entire narrative arc for the project: AI bloomers.
I love this term. The sources specifically credit this concept to Nancy, who they say nailed this.
She really did.
I find this term to be the most powerful part of the entire branding architecture. It fundamentally shifts the conversation. Why was the concept of AI bloomers such a strategic breakthrough?
Because it transitions the narrative from a static, inherited label like being a boomer by birth to an active chosen identity.
It's about choice.
It is. It transforms the project from mere instruction into a transformation story. It's not just a demographic designation. It's an aspirational journey. It's a story arc. It says you are not defined by your generation. You are choosing to engage with and master the future.
This speaks directly to the learner profile. The term implies growth, potential, and continuing relevance. It provides a positive identity for older adults who want to master new challenges.
Exactly. And the perspective it creates is key. The primary speaker is not speaking as some omniscient expert from on high,
Right.
but as a fellow traveler on this path.
Right.
The North Star becomes the transparent public journey of a baby boomer becoming an AI bloomer.
And the honesty inherent in that journey is so deeply reassuring to all generations. It addresses that deep-seated anxiety that AI is just too new, too fast, and too complex for experienced older generations to grasp.
It does. But the underlying premise, as it's articulated in the sources, is that AI is new to everyone, even the young.
That's such an important point.
It is. By articulating the transformation out loud, the host validates the learning curve of the listener. They're essentially saying, look, if someone with decades of life experience, someone who might have started out resistant, can learn this out loud, understand it, and make it safe, then so can you.
That is hugely reassuring, not just to seniors, but also to younger listeners who are grappling with the exact same anxiety about the speed of technological acceleration.
And the strategy provides the host with the perfect on-air phrase to summarize this entire identity shift.
The one-liner.
The one-liner that wraps it all up. I'm a baby boomer by birth and an AI bloomer by choice. That one line masterfully manages the heritage, the complexity of the boomer label, and the future intention of the project. It's so elegant and preemptive.
It acts as an instant bridge, doesn't it? It honors the past while declaring a firm commitment to the future. It makes the entire project feel authentic and purposeful rather than just academically dry.
It's the human story at the center of the technology.
So having established the philosophy, the architecture, and the identity, the final step in this strategic blueprint is ensuring the external communication locks in that brand identity flawlessly.
Right. It's not enough to have the strategy. You have to execute it consistently.
And this comes down to the precise economical language that's used both on-air and in official documents.
And the source material actually provides specific, confidence-inducing anchor sentences and phrases. They're designed to preemptively address any possible confusion and reinforce that tone of calm authority established by Reasonology. This is communication engineering at its finest.
Let's focus on the trust-building language designed to be used on air. They have one phrase that immediately uses the personal context while dissolving the generational barrier.
Yes, that phrase is, I speak from a boomer life experience, but this conversation is for every generation.
So simple, but it does so much work.
It does. That sentence acknowledges the inherent bias of the host's lived experience, but it immediately reframes it as a lens, not a restriction. It builds intimacy without sacrificing that universal appeal.
Then there is the invitational language, which reinforces that doorway concept of the podcast.
And that line is, whether you're a senior, a Gen Xer, or just AI curious, you're welcome here.
I like that. It's a deliberate act of inclusive marketing. It recognizes the specific generations that are often overlooked in the tech conversation, boomers and Gen X seniors, while still casting a wide net for the AI-curious listeners, regardless of their age.
It emphasizes the communal nature of the learning journey, which is just central to building a stable, long-term audience.
And then there's the essential statement of calm authority, which connects right back to the core philosophy.
This isn't about hype or fear. It's about becoming more reasonable together. It repositions the entire discussion, moving it out of the sensational media cycle and into a shared process of rational human understanding.
And this consistent deployment of carefully chosen language ensures that with every single broadcast, the core identity is reinforced. Calm, human, focused on safety, and fundamentally reasonable.
That consistency is everything.
Now, looking at the long-term vision, the sources emphasize how this specific architecture connects back to the host's existing professional credibility. We hear about the host's history of Peabody-level documentary trust, guided visualization education, and non-confrontational explainers. Why is preserving that credibility so tied to the choice of senior AI as the umbrella brand?
Because credibility is the ultimate currency when you're teaching intimidating topics. It's everything. The host's existing trust, which was built on rigorous research and reliable, non-sensational content, is the bedrock of this entire enterprise.
So by choosing senior AI as the umbrella,
they ensure that the foundation credibility, which is what's required for long-term institutional partnerships and academic acceptance, is preserved and protected. The source explicitly notes that senior age is much better than boomer for long-term foundation credibility. Boomer is a trend, senior is a stage of life.
That's a great distinction. So the architecture allows them to use the host's personality and energy effectively, but it structurally keeps that dynamism separate from the core promise of safety and seriousness.
It's a masterful way to maximize both reach and credibility simultaneously. You get the best of both worlds.
And it guarantees that when a library or foundation reviews the project for a potential partnership, what they see is senior AI podcast listening, which aligns with education and trust.
Not AI boomer news stock, which might imply opinion or even political commentary. The documentary trust means the audience expects quality and nonpartisanship, and the senior AI framing consistently delivers on that expectation.
And this leads us to the most critical component for securing those external partnerships and defining the project internally: the anchor sentences.
The one-liners that have to do all the heavy lifting.
Exactly. The single, comprehensive sentences that define the entire project.
And these sentences, they have to be ultra-versatile.
Yeah.
You have to work perfectly on a funding application, as a university partnership summary, or in the first line of a website description. The source provides a useful, concise summary for immediate marketing use. Senior AI Podcast Listening is our home, and AI Boomer News Talk Radio is where we let the conversation breathe.
That is so clean and articulate. It clearly defines the relationship between the foundation and the flavor.
It does. But the final, most robust anchor sentence provided in the source material encapsulates all three layers, the doorway, the vault, and the mission, into one powerful, comprehensive statement. This is the ultimate strategic distillation of the entire project.
It's the mission in a nutshell.
It is. And we have to quote this in full because it just locks in the entire architectural vision so perfectly.
Okay, here it is.
The AI Safe is a multimedia explainer vault connected to Senior AI Podcast Listening, designed to help all generations understand AI calmly, clearly, and safely.
Wow. That single line, it addresses the platform name, the primary distribution method, the target audience, the delivery tone, and the core mission.
All while stressing safety and clarity.
It's a complete communication strategy in 25 words.
And that level of clarity, especially when you're dealing with this much complexity and multiple branding elements, is exceptionally difficult to achieve. It just reinforces that central strategic thesis. When you are communicating complex topics and trying to build trust, clarity isn't just a virtue.
It's your superpower.
It is truly the superpower that makes the entire project possible.
So, we have analyzed this blueprint for communication architecture, a really fascinating study in strategic design. We've explored the philosophy of reasonology, which puts the human experience first. The three connected layers, the doorway, the vault, and the lens. And that sophisticated, layered use of generational labels, which are designed to manage cultural baggage while fostering transformation.
And the architecture successfully established a clear, a stable, and a trust-focused framework under that one unifying mission. Keep the AI safe. This strategy is a masterclass in recognizing that when you're dealing with a subject as volatile and fast-moving as AI, the method of delivery, the how, is far more important than the raw technological what.
You have to get the how right first.
You have to. They built an intentional system to manage fear and confusion before they even tried to introduce the facts.
They started by recognizing that universal anxiety surrounding AI, particularly among those with decades of lived experience, and they provided a positive narrative arc, the transformation into an AI bloomer.
And that transformation story is the enduring, marketable takeaway from all of this. It establishes that learning is an active choice, not just a passive absorption of data.
And that leads us to our final provocative thought for you, the listener. The entire project centers on this premise that AI is new to everyone, and that the honesty of someone with decades of experience learning it out loud is the ultimate reassurance for all of us.
Right.
So here's a challenge. What concept in your own life, no matter your age, it could be personal finance, it could be sustainable living, a complex hobby, really anything. What concept do you need to move from fear out to explainers in?
That's a great question.
And what would your personal bloomer transformation story look like if you committed to building a human-first explainer vault around it for yourself and maybe for others? The journey of mastery, as this blueprint shows, starts not with the data, but with the choice to learn and to share that journey out loud.
That's our deep dive for today. Here's the bottom line. You cannot learn if you are busy freaking out. The rule is simple. Explainers in, fear out. We build a fortress of facts called the AI Safe, so you don't have to doom scroll through the internet. Whether you're 14 or 84, you need to see this stuff to believe it. Go to our media vault, the AI Safe, get the facts. Become an AI bloomer. Visit seniorAIpodcast.com right now. Don't wait. I'll see you there. I'm Mike Hayes.